Before the doors close and the silence sets in, make sure you're subscribed. These are not fairy tale billionaires. These are the ones who own floors no one else can access, and women they never meant to touch. Now listen closely. The first thing they tell you about the private floor is what not to ask. Don't ask why it exists. Don't ask why the elevator needs a separate key. And never ever ask why no one lasts longer than a month up there. I'm told all of this by human resources while she slides a black access card across the table like it's evidence, not a perk. Congratulations, she says, not smiling. You've been reassigned. Reassigned. That's the word they use when no one else volunteers. The card is heavier than it should be. Matte black. No numbers. No logo. Just a faint silver stripe that catches the light when I tilt it. What exactly will I be doing? I ask. She hesitates. That's my first warning. Administrative oversight, she says carefully. Document coordination. Calendar integrity. Confidential support. Support for who? Another pause. Then, Mr. Hale. Everyone in the building knows that name. You don't work in a 48-story glass tower without hearing it whispered in elevators, muttered during budget meetings, or joked about nervously at the bar across the street. Elliot Hale. Founder. Majority shareholder. The billionaire who owns the building I work in, and several others I've only seen in magazines. The man who hasn't attended a company-wide meeting in 3 years. The man with an entire floor sealed off from the rest of us. No one else is assigned there? I ask. HR meets my eyes for the first time. No one else stays. The private elevator doesn't show up on the main directory. You have to swipe the black card, wait for a soft click, then press a button that appears only after your fingerprint is verified. There's no music. No mirrored walls. No small talk with strangers. Just a smooth ascent and the faint hum of machinery carrying me somewhere I was never meant to go. When the doors open, the first thing I notice is the quiet. Not the absence of noise, but the kind of silence that feels intentional. Engineered. Expensive. The floor is dimmer than the others, lit by recessed lighting that glows warm against dark wood and stone. No cubicles. No open desk. Just long corridors, closed doors, and a panoramic view of the city stretching out like it belongs to him alone. I step out. The doors slide shut behind me. They do not reopen. I tell myself that's normal. Of course they don't reopen automatically. This is a secure floor. Still, my pulse quickens. My heels echo as I walk toward the central office, his office, guided by the subtle layout that assumes you already know where you're going. The door is closed. Tall. Black. Minimalist. No nameplate. I knock once softly. Nothing. I check my tablet. No meetings scheduled. No instructions beyond be present. So I do the only thing I can. I wait. I don't hear him approach. One moment the office is empty. The next, there's a presence behind me so sudden I inhale sharply. You're early. His voice is low. Calm. Not surprised. I turn. Elliot Hale is taller than I expected. Not imposing in a loud way. No sharp gestures, no exaggerated confidence, but controlled. Like every movement is deliberate, weighed, approved before execution. Dark suit. No tie. White shirt open at the collar. His eyes flick to the tablet in my hands, then back to my face. You're the replacement, he says. Not a question. Yes, I reply. I know your name. That stops me. I read the file. He opens the office door and gestures me inside like this conversation is already over. Come in. The space is massive but restrained. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A single desk. A seating area that looks untouched. No personal photos. No clutter. Everything here exists because it's useful or because he allows it. Your predecessor, he says, walking past me, talked too much. I swallow. I don't. His mouth curves slightly. Not a smile. Good. He takes his seat behind the desk and looks at me like he's assessing risk, not competence. You will manage my calendar, he continues. You will oversee correspondence that does not leave this floor. You will not discuss what you see or hear here with anyone. I understand. You will not bring guests. You will not linger after hours unless instructed. And you will not ask personal questions. There it is. The rule everyone else warned me about. Yes, Mr. Hale. He pauses. Then, and you will not call me that. I blink. Sorry. My name, he says calmly. Use it. Elliot, I repeat. Something in his gaze sharpens. Good. Days pass. Then weeks. And I understand why no one lasts. It isn't the workload. It's heavy, yes, but manageable. It's the atmosphere. Elliot doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't micromanage. He doesn't flirt. He watches. He notices when I arrive 2 minutes later than usual. When my tone shifts in emails. When I hesitate before answering a question. Nothing escapes him. Yet he never crosses a line. Never stands too close. Never touches. Which somehow makes everything feel more intimate. Sometimes I catch him watching me through the glass wall of his office when he thinks I'm focused on my screen. Sometimes I hear him pacing late at night when the rest of the building is dark. And sometimes, when the city lights flicker on and the floor grows quieter, he asks questions that have nothing to do with work. Why did you take this job? I don't look up. It pays well. That's not why. I hesitate. Because I don't like being bored. I say finally. A pause. Neither do I. The first time he breaks the rule, it's accidental. A storm hits the city unexpectedly. Thunder cracking so close the windows tremble. The power flickers. Emergency lights glow low and amber. I'm standing near the windows when it happens. The thunder hits. I flinch. And suddenly, his hand is on my wrist. Warm. Firm. Steady. He lets go immediately like he's touched something forbidden. Sorry, he says. But his voice isn't distant anymore. It's rough. The emergency lights cast shadows across his face, sharp and intimate. For a second, neither of us moves. Then he steps back. That won't happen again. I nod. But my pulse doesn't slow. After that, everything shifts. Not outwardly. Not in ways anyone else could see. But the silences stretch longer. His gaze lingers. When he hands me documents, his fingers brush mine. And neither of us apologizes. One night, long past office hours, I finally asked the question no one else dared. Why is this floor sealed off? He doesn't answer right away. Then, because control is easier in isolation. And you need control? His eyes lift to mine. I prefer it. Something in the way he says it sends a shiver down my spine. The line breaks the night he stays. Not to work. To watch the city. We stand side by side at the window, the glass reflecting two figures who don't quite touch. You could leave, he says quietly. Everyone else did. I turn to him. But you didn't make them leave, I say. You just waited. His jaw tightens. I don't keep people who don't want to be here. And if I want to be? That finally makes him look at me fully. The air feels charged. Heavy. Then you should understand what that means. I think I already do. Silence. Then his hand lifts, not to touch but to hover near my waist. A question. I answer by stepping closer. The kiss is slow. Controlled. Like everything else he does. But it burns. When he pulls back, his forehead rests against mine. This, he says softly, does not leave this floor. I nod. Good, he murmurs. Neither do you. After that night, the floor feels different. Not louder. Not brighter. More aware. Every surface seems to remember us standing there. Close enough to blur the rules but not close enough to break them entirely. Elliot doesn't mention the kiss the next morning. Neither do I. But he changes my schedule. He shifts meetings later. Cancels outside calls. Keeps everything contained within the private floor like he's closing ranks around something fragile. Around me. You're staying late again, I say one evening, glancing at the updated calendar. Yes. Because of the storm? I ask even though the skies are clear. No, he says simply. Because I don't want to leave yet. That honesty, quiet and unguarded, unnerves me more than any command could. I should be careful. I know that. This isn't a romance built on balance. He has power in every direction. Financial, professional, structural. This floor exists because of him. My access ends the moment he decides it does. And yet, every time I consider stepping back, he gives me a look that makes me feel like leaving would be a betrayal. Not of him. Of myself. The rule breaking starts small. A glass of whiskey poured after midnight. A jacket draped over my shoulders when the air conditioning runs too cold. His hand resting at my lower back for half a second too long when he guides me past a doorway. Nothing explicit. Nothing undeniable. Until the night the elevator stopped responding. I checked the panel twice. Swipe my card. Try again. Nothing. System maintenance, Elliot says from behind me. Scheduled. You didn't mention. I decided late. Of course he did. He watches me carefully like he's gauging whether I'll panic. I don't. Looks like we're stuck, I say evenly. For a few hours. I exhale slowly. Then I'll finish the reports. You won't. I turn. He's already loosening his cuffs, rolling his sleeves up in a way that feels intimate despite the distance between us. You've worked enough, he says. Sit. It's not a request. The leather sofa is cool beneath my palms as I lower myself onto it. He pours 2 drinks this time, hands me one without asking. We sit in silence, the city glowing around us, sealed in glass and quiet. You've been watching me, I say eventually. Yes. Not even a pause. Why? His jaw tightens. Because you don't pretend, he says. Everyone else does. And that bothers you? It complicates things. I take a sip. You're the one who made this complicated. He smiles faintly. I know. The kiss that night is nothing like the first. There's no hesitation. He crowds me back against the sofa, one hand braced beside my head, the other sliding deliberately to my waist. His control is still there, but it's strained now like a wire pulled too tight. Tell me to stop, he murmurs against my mouth. I don't. So he doesn't. When his lips trail along my jaw down my neck, it's unhurried. Possessive. Like he has all the time in the world and intends to use it. This floor, he says quietly, was built because I don't share well. My breath catches. And now, I whisper. Now, he says, pulling back just enough to look at me. I'm testing that theory. The tension snaps. I pull him closer. Nothing changes the next morning, which somehow makes everything feel more dangerous. We return to routine like professionals. Emails, meetings, strategy calls conducted behind closed doors. But every glance carries memory. Every silence is loaded. At noon, a message flashes across my screen. Elliot, stay after tonight. I don't reply. I don't need to. The breaking point comes unexpectedly. A board member shows up unannounced. He shouldn't even know how to access this floor. I intercept him near the elevator, heart pounding. I have clearance, he insists. No, I say calmly. You don't. Elliot appears behind me. His presence immediate and chilling. You're mistaken, he tells the man. This floor isn't part of your oversight. Tension coils tight. I'll escalate this, the board member snaps. Elliot's smile is cold. You won't, he says. And you won't return. The man leaves. The doors seal. Silence crashes down around us. You shouldn't have done that, I say softly. I absolutely should have. You're protecting me. He steps closer. I'm protecting what's mine. The words hang between us. Heavy, dangerous, undeniable. This is why you isolate, I say. Because when you want something, you don't know how to share it. His gaze darkens. And you, he says quietly, stay because you don't want to be shared either. He's right. That's the worst part. Later, when the lights dim automatically and the city hums far below, he presses his forehead to mine. This can't be public, he says. I know. It may not last. I know. And when it ends, I stop him with a hand on his chest. Don't ruin it by predicting the fallout. For once he listens. He kisses me like he's memorizing the moment, like he already knows what it will cost him.